Hello, litigators. Court is now in session. Y'all, so by the minute, I say minute upon minute, hour upon hour, more information just keeps coming out about this suspect, Mr. Bryan Kohberger. And the new information that has come out now in this hour is that allegedly while Bryan Kohberger was traveling to Pennsylvania with his father, he had been pulled over by authorities multiple times. I'm kind of interested if they were trying to slow him down, because I'm pretty sure all the authorities were in communication with each other, because, of course, the FBI and officials were following him around for 4 days. So I'm thinking maybe they were having local officers kind of keep track of him, see if he committed any traffic violations so they could stop him, question where he's going, stuff like that, get details. But I found this to be quite interesting when I found this report saying that he had been pulled over. Just a disclaimer, all the information that is communicated going forward in this video are allegations, opinions, and speculations. No facts have been verified yet. But let's look at this report that was from the New York Post, because I found it to be interesting to give I did not know that he was being pulled over, but I wonder, guys, while he was getting pulled over, I wonder if he was sweating BBs, guys. I bet every time he got pulled over, he was like, this is the moment. It's the moment I'm going to be arrested. They caught me. He probably was so terrified, guys. Just imagine Bryan getting pulled over all those times. Do you think he was thinking that it was his time he was going to get arrested? But let's take a look at this. Also, I'm going to talk about, after we talk about this article, I want to talk to you guys because the authorities, some source from the authorities are saying that when they were interrogating him, because after they arrested him, they started interrogating him. But as soon as they mentioned Idaho 4, he asked for an attorney, no longer wanted to speak anymore. So that is very telling, guys. That's huge. If he had nothing to do with it, why did he shut down those questioning? Also, another question we have to ask is, if you've been following this story and been watching my videos, he had the same type of behavior in school. When he got back the days after the killings, he was so animated based upon his friends. Allegedly, they said he was very animated. They alleged that he was more confident than he's ever been, more talkative in class. But as soon as they mentioned Idaho 4 killings, he would shut down in class, not say a word. So it seems like that's the same exact behavior he had when the authorities were starting to ask him questions about the Idaho 4. So let's get into this first article, and then we'll delve into the next article. Finally, I do want to share with you a video from an interview from the father of Kaylee, because he has spoken out ever since this tragedy has happened. So we will get into that video from News Nation too, just to kind of hear the information, because I felt like News Nation did a pretty good video. And so we'll talk about that after we discuss these two articles. Starting with this first article here. They said the cops pulled over suspected Idaho murderer Bryan Kohberger twice during cross-country drive. Guys, I'm telling you, I wonder if he was sitting there sweating BBs because he thought this was the one moment in time when they were going to arrest him for the murders of the Idaho 4. I bet you he was thinking that, but let's read it. Accused Idaho killer Bryan Kohberger was pulled over twice by police while driving cross country with his dad to return home for the holidays, his lawyer said. I just know that they were pulled over in Indiana almost back to back. I believe once for speeding and once for following too closely to a car in front of them, Monroe County, Pennsylvania attorney Jason Labar told local Idaho station KTVB on Sunday. Guys, okay, police officers have discretion in terms of whether they're going to decide to pull someone over or not. They could choose whether or not they want to pull somebody over for speeding or following too closely. I honestly think those authorities, the officers that pulled him over, they were in communications with the FBI because, like I said, based upon the Daily Mail, the Daily Mail alleged that they spoke to sources from the FBI saying that they had been following, and the police officers saying that they had been following Bryan closely for 4 days, and they followed him from Washington to Pennsylvania. So I'm thinking since they were in close surveillance of Bryan, they might have had these officers planted over there who were probably actually following him in the first place, y'all. The same officers that were following him probably were looking for any little small violation of the law that they could figure out to pull him over. Because when they pull him over, they can get registration, license, all that stuff. And they can even, they'll in small talk, they can say, oh, where are you going? Where are you headed to? Why are you going there? To get a little bit of pieces of details that they may, wanted to figure out why he was going to Pennsylvania, stuff like that. Now, of course, they already knew he was from Pennsylvania, but I mean, they probably wanted to just like have small talk with him to figure out why he was going to Pennsylvania. Was he headed there for the holidays, whatever? So I found that interesting, guys. And I love it that this public defender is giving all this tea, guys, because we wouldn't have known that. But anyway, KOHBERGER, 28, was arrested in Pennsylvania early Friday and charged with the murder of the 4 Idaho 4. We already knew that. The Keystone State. Oh, yeah. So they said he had driven from his home in Pullman, Washington, just 9 miles from the scene of the gruesome murders, to the Keystone State with his dad for Christmas. LaBar said the duo arrived at the family home in Albrights around December 17th. Okay, so they came there around December 17th, which I find is interesting, guys, because that post on Chan 4 that said, that kind of gave details of how the gruesome killings of the Idaho 4 was and what happened to Kaylee and stuff like that. The person said to find them in Pennsylvania, hiding in a hole in Pennsylvania on the 12th. And then on the 17th, all of a sudden, Brian's in Pennsylvania. That's interesting, guys. Interesting timing, right? So they said cops pulled over suspected Idaho murderer twice during cross-country drive. That's interesting. A picture of BRYAN KOHBERGER provided by police following his arrest. I don't know whether they were speeding or not, or if they were even issued a ticket, LaBar clarified. Exactly, because I don't think that was really their intention. They didn't really care about the fact that he was speeding, to be honest, guys, in my opinion. They could care less. They just were trying to look for any little small thing to pull him over, just to kind of just probe and figure out, stuff, details, get some information about, what was on his thought process. Also, they wanted to look at his demeanor. They're trying to see if even his behavior when he gets pulled over, would that lend any form of suspicion? Like, for example, is he sweating? Is he getting nervous? Is he shaking as the officers are talking to him? To see any consciousness of guilt when they're pulling him over. So that's probably why they didn't even issue a speeding ticket, because they didn't care about that. They just were looking for any small little violation so they could pull this man over. Guys, I wish I could be a fly on the wall to see his reactions when he was getting pulled over. Indiana State Police did not return a request for comment asking if they conducted the stops. However, it would appear they were routine traffic interactions unrelated to the murders and not orchestrated by the police unit trailing the two on their road trip. Okay, so now they told us it's not orchestrated by the FBI or the police that were trailing him. Interesting. Interesting. It would appear they were. So they haven't got it that confirmed, guys. They said it would appear they were routine traffics and not related to. Okay, so the New York Post is speculating just like we are. So we don't really know if the FBI did orchestrate that or the police unit that was watching him orchestrated it. So that's, again, that would be interesting information to find out, but we don't know yet. New York Post is speculating just like we're speculating. KOHBERGER's dad had flown to Spokane, Washington in December and met with his son so the two could drive more than 2,500 miles journey together. KOHBERGER's father said his son had acted normal on the trip, according to LaBar. And y'all, the parents seemed to be pretty cold and callous when the news reporters came to their house. I'm gonna actually play that video because in the video with the dad, they talk about going to the parents' houses and they were like, get away from our property, stuff like that. So they're not trying to be bothered by any news reporters, and they weren't too nice about it. So it's kind of stark contrast to how they were in that statement. The statement, they seem really loving and kind and sympathetic, but when the reporters came by the house, they were like, no, get away from our house. So here's this photo of Mr. BRYAN KOHBERGER in another photo, like his younger days. Let's see if they have any else information about this, because sometimes they have other details. Oh, we already know about that he had the PhD. Okay, they said the suspected white Hyundai Elantra has become a focus point for investigators, and a car matching the description was reportedly seized by police when he was arrested. So they have that car in their possession, the authorities do. Labar is one of the few people able to have regular contact with Kohberger, a PhD student in criminology at the University of Washington, Pullman, as he awaits extradition in Idaho. Now, BRYAN's attorney says this about his mental state. They say that BRYAN is mentally aware. He is aware of the situation. So, guys, that statement alone right there clues you in that they do not intend to raise an insanity defense. They can't even do that anyway in Idaho. But even if they could in another state, which that can happen, he's already refuted that in this statement by saying that BRYAN is mentally aware. So that's not an issue in this case. He said he's aware of the situation, and I think he's certainly mentally stable and had made no expressions of hurting himself, Labar said of the accused murderer. He anticipates Kohberger, who says he is looking forward to being exonerated, will plead not guilty. Yeah, we already know that. That's already going to be happening because he's going to love the ride of basically litigating this case. Kohberger stands accused of unaliving the four. We know that. The probable cause warrant used to justify his arrest won't be released until he appears in Idaho per the state laws. Labar, who is only overseeing Kohberger's extradition and is not part of his defense team, says his client will be in Idaho as soon as Tuesday or Wednesday. Okay, I'm thankful for this attorney giving us the details. So he may be there tomorrow. And if he is, I am waiting very anxiously, guys, for that arrest affidavit to come out. Here's a photo of the similar car that they were looking for in this case. Cops pulled over a suspect in this similar car. And we will be looking for that. We will be waiting for that information. And we already know about this, but they said Dr. Catherine Ramsland, a professor of DeSale University, where Kohberger received a master's degree in criminology, apparently developed a close relationship, with Radar. And Ramsland once taught Kohberger, my first reaction was my stomach churned, and I literally physically got ill. I've been pretty invested in the Idaho case, and I was shocked to see there was a connection to Ramsland and my father, Carrie Rawson said. And this lady, Carrie Rawson, is the daughter of BTK, one of the well-known, sick, horrific serial killers. There is potentially a connection to my father, but we're going to have to wait and see. Kohberger could have made communication with my father. But again, this is all speculation, guys. All this is speculation, speculation, and speculation. Let's get to this next article, though. Let me know what you guys think about those police stops. Do you think it was related to the individuals, the authorities who were following Mr. Kohberger? Were they trying to just keep close ties on him while he was getting pulled over all these times, trying to probe and figure out little details about why he was going to Pennsylvania, stuff like that? Who knows? But let's look at this, guys. Oh my gosh, we're getting a little bit of tea about what happened when the authorities apprehended Mr. BRYAN Kohberger. At first, he waived his rights, his constitutional rights, and he was going to speak to the authorities. But as soon as they mentioned Idaho 4, your boy BRYAN shut down. Let's go ahead and read that article, y'all. BRYAN Kohberger stopped police interview after question about Idaho murders. This article was just written 2 hours ago. The top suspect in the murder of 4 University of Idaho students initially agreed to talk with police, but allegedly stopped the interview after they began to ask questions about the murders. Just this man, his behavior is so suspicious. It's like, if you're innocent and you had nothing to do with it, why stop the discussions? Very, very, very weird behavior, right? But he loves this, guys. I'm telling you, he loves this. He knows that he's supposed to do this because, again, he has been studying criminology from, college to master's to now studying PhD and being a teaching assistant in criminology. So he knows that he should be remaining silent in a type of investigation like this, especially when he is suspected of the crime, you guys. So why do you think he stopped speaking when the authorities asked him about the Idaho 4? So alleged University of Idaho 4 murder suspect BRYAN Kohberger, pictured against a memorial for the slain, on the university. Here's a photo of him. They said, according to a Monday report published by Law and Crime, a legal affairs website, Kohberger initially waived his right to counsel following his arrest in a rural Pennsylvania town, where he was apprehended by local law enforcement in the early hours of December 30th, facing 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary in connection to the November deaths. Kohberger initially spoke with law enforcement between 5 and 15 minutes at the Pennsylvania State Police following his early morning arrest. However, after he was asked a question about the murders, Kohberger apparently requested an attorney, according to the public defender representing him in Pennsylvania, who said he was shocked over the allegations. Okay, if he's so shocked over the allegations, then why did he have this blank stare when they literally broke into his parents' house? They felt like they did because they broke his parents' window, came in there, like literally ambushed the place and arrested him. Guys, if it was you or me and authorities broke your windows in, got into your house, I mean, a whole SWAT team of FBI agents, what would your reaction be? Would you have a cold blank stare, or what would you do? I would be questioning, like, what is going on? What are you doing? Like, I would be like going crazy, like, what the heck are you doing? I didn't do anything. Why are you here? Blah, blah. No, he had a cold blank stare. So the only thing I'm thinking of, the fact that he was shocked, was probably he didn't see it coming. He didn't think they were going to ever figure him out. I mean, think about that weird inside looking profile on Reddit who said, and if you got to go back to that 4-hour video I did, who said that the case was going to go cold. He was like, in that group, he was saying, if there is not an arrest by December 25th, by Christmas, then the case is going to go cold. That's what he said in that group. So I think that's probably why he was shocked. He was like, they're never going to figure me out. They'll never figure me out. You know what he's going to do about that DNA evidence? He's going to claim that he was in the house before. He went to a party there before and just hung out over there and was in their rooms before, just chilling out, drinking and stuff. That's why his DNA is there. It has nothing to do with the killings. Because you would know something disturbing about this, guys, is the inside looking guy on the Reddit said that the killer did not have any injuries. So I am like, okay, if there's no injuries, what was he wearing? Was he wearing long sleeves so that when Zana was fighting back, she wasn't able to make skin-to-skin contact to scratch him to get some DNA under her nails? Like, I'm really wondering, because he said no injuries were sustained and that the knife didn't slip. And if that is Brian, he has some pretty detailed facts that nobody else would have known unless, number one, you're in the police authorities or you're the killer. There's nobody else who would know that stuff. Because like we already know, the authorities were very tight-lipped, and they were so tight-lipped, it frustrated the family, it frustrated you and I, it frustrated everybody. We're like, come on, give us at least one little snippet of something. But I'm glad they didn't say anything, because it makes even more suspicious the inside looking profile on Reddit, and it makes even more suspicious that individual on Chan 4. But let's keep looking at this article, y'all. I get thrown off on different tangents. But anyways, they said, however, as he asked questions about the murders, Kohberger apparently requested an attorney, according to his public defender, who said he was shocked over the allegations. Mr. Kohberger has been accused of very serious crimes, but the American justice system cloaks him in a veil of innocence. Innocence, Chief Public Defender Jason LaBar wrote in a statement after his arrest. Oh, we already know he's presumed innocent until proven. He's innocent until proven guilty. We know that, but we still can have our little opinions. Anyway, he should be presumed innocent until proven otherwise, not tried in the court of public opinion. Well, you know what? The beautiful thing about America is we have the freedom to have opinions, Mr. LaBar. Okay? And if we want to look at this guy and scrutinize every little detail of him, we can. Okay? Until we figure out what really is going on. Anywho. But a disclaimer, Mr. Kohberger is presumed innocent until otherwise. Back to the article. Mr. Kohberger is eager to be exonerated of these charges and looks forward to resolving these matters as promptly as possible, he added. According to police, Kohlberger allegedly broke into a shared residence where students Kaylee Gonsalves, Madison Mogan, Zana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapman were present with the intent to commit murder before traveling in a white Hyundai to Pennsylvania, where he was apprehended around 2 a.m. on December 30th. Ooh, what do they got to say here, guys? Let's listen to this.
Detectives use genetic genealogy.
Let's listen to this.
With the suspect finally in custody after a 7-week manhunt, the search for justice is only beginning.
Detectives arrested 28-year-old BRYAN Christopher Kohlberger.
Early Friday, authorities took Kohlberger into custody at his parents' home in northeastern Pennsylvania on suspicion of the murder of 4 college students in Moscow, Idaho. After graduating from DeSales University, Kohlberger enrolled in a doctoral program in criminal justice at Washington State University, just miles from the University of Idaho campus and the scene of the murders. He's being held in Pennsylvania, where his public defender says Kohlberger was shocked by the arrest.
He believes he will be exonerated.
The lawyer reading a statement from Kohlberger's family.
We have fully cooperated with law enforcement agencies in an attempt to seek the truth and promote his presumption of innocence.
He confirmed that Kohlberger's father flew to Washington State to meet his son and made the cross-country road trip back to Pennsylvania with him, the father telling him he didn't notice anything different about his son.
Everything was ordinary, and he saw nothing unusual about it.
Police seized a white Hyundai Elantra at Kohlberger's parents' home in Pennsylvania, the same model they say was seen near the crime scene around the time of the attack. Austin Morrison says Kohlberger was a teaching assistant in a criminal justice class he took at Washington State.
Just rather quiet, very off to the side, standoffish. He sat in the class, didn't do a whole lot.
2 law enforcement sources familiar with the investigation told NBC News that detectives used genetic genealogy to track down the suspect.
It broadens the search. Instead of just looking for that one person in the database or maybe their very close relatives, we now are looking for second, third, fourth cousins and beyond. The team that did this work had a very difficult task.
Now, once Kohlberger is back here in Idaho to face a judge, authorities are expected to.
And what I think is interesting, I think they had to use the genealogy stuff because Mr. BRYAN, I'm telling you, he studied this stuff for so many years. He was applying all of his studies to the case. He was wearing the gloves. So and he was very, very careful about not really leaving any DNA anywhere. So as they were following this guy, they just were not able to successfully get a sample. So they had to use genealogy to track this guy down. But now I'm thinking now that they have the search warrants, I'm wondering, guys, if they ask for a search warrant of his person to get an actual sample from him so that they can do a direct link to. They might even do that. They should get some direct genetic source from him and just get a search warrant for that. So that would be interesting, guys. But let's see if they have anything else of substances in this article before we move on to the News Nation. I like that News Nation video with the father speaking, Kaylee's father speaking, and then also with the reporters trying to get an interview with Mr. BRYAN's parents. But no, of course, no success with that. But still, it's interesting to hear his demeanor in the video. Kohlberger was allegedly on law enforcement's radar well before leaving Idaho. What? Well before leaving Idaho, police said, while they closely tracked his movements until they established probable cause to arrest him. Man, guys, they was following Mr. Kohlberger for a hot minute. While little is known about Kohlberger, the national press has fixated on his relationship with former professor who specialized in psychology of serial killers. See, guys, that is very suspicious. This dude loved studying serial killers. And look how many people he unalived in this case. Interesting. And you want to know something disturbing? Remember how people were thinking and speculating that the killer didn't know about the other 2 people in the house? Well, the individual who had the inside looking profile on Reddit said he knew about the other 2 people in the house. Oh my gosh. He knew about them, but he just chose not to unalive them. That is very eerie. I feel if I was those 2 people, I would be very shaking in my bones, whatever, just shaking. Okay, that's scary. That he already knew. He just chose not to unalive them. But let's get back to this. Police, so they think that there's this close tie with this because he was a PhD student and teaching assistant in the Department of Criminal Justice and Criminology at the Washington State University. So they're trying to study. They probably, you know, the reason why this professor, Catherine Ramsland, is not spoken yet, because they're probably going to use her as a witness in the trial. I really think so. Because people have already, the news reports have tried to reach out to Catherine and she has not said a word. I think it's because the authorities told her not to speak because they're going to be using her in the trial. They're going to be probably asking how his demeanor was in class. Did he seem way too enthusiastic about the subject? Did he, whatever, you know, we'll see what they ask her, but she'll probably be one of the witnesses because, you know, they want to actually study this guy's character. So there's going to be a lot of character witnesses, which makes sense for why the authorities interviewed over 300 people in this investigation, because it's going to be a lot more than that, because now they're going to be interviewing Bryan's classmates, his former friends, relatives, all that. They're going to try to really get into this guy's mind and know everything about him for the trial. So they said the police relied on a mixture of DNA evidence, which they tracked back to Kohberger's family using genetic genealogy, as well as cell phone tracking data to narrow the suspect list down to him. What, guys? They were using his cell phone information. Well, we already knew about that because they were pinging his location every time the Idaho 4 people went places. They already pinged him then. But guys, my question is, were they, and was he dumb enough to bring a cell phone with him when he slayed and slaughtered the Idaho 4? Do you guys think he was dumb enough to bring a phone with him? Because if he did, they would have pinged him in the house. Oh my God, he would be completely dumb. I mean, he studied this stuff for years. You would think he would not be an idiot to bring his phone. But guys, what if he brought his phone with him? That's another question. It's like, did he do this so he could now try to challenge all the stuff he learned about evidence and stuff, how to get away with murder? And if he gets away with it, is he going to try to become this well-renowned professor at school and apply all the stuff he learned? I don't know. This is sounding like a crazy case, guys. Kohberger's family have largely declined to comment on specific details about the allegations, releasing a Sunday statement saying they were waiting until all the available evidence has been examined. And we already know what they said in that, guys, but I'll say it again for those in the back. We will continue to let the legal process unfold. And as a family, we will love and support our son and brother, they wrote. We have fully cooperated with law enforcement agencies in an attempt to seek the truth and promote his presumption of innocence rather than judge unknown facts and make erroneous assumptions. And so his hearing is tomorrow, guys, tomorrow afternoon in Monroe County in Pennsylvania at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, after which he is likely to return to Idaho. So, yeah, he's going to still be in Pennsylvania because he actually has to formally waive his extradition hearing. He has to waive that. So people were thinking that he was going to have a hearing tomorrow in Idaho. No, he can't possibly be in Idaho right now because he has to formally go before the court. He has to waive his extradition hearing if he is still going to do that, because he can easily change his mind and just decide not to waive it. If he doesn't, then there's going to be a pretty drawn out hearing, but I think he'll waive it. And I think that's just weird. If you're so innocent, why waive it? I wouldn't wait. I would put a fight up for everything if I'm innocent, wouldn't you? We shall see, though. But let's listen to the father of Kaylee. Let's see what he has to say. And then also, I just want to see if we can get a demeanor, kind of a read on the vocal, the tone of the parents when the reporters try to reach out to Bryan's parents, because it can kind of let us really know what's going on behind the curtains. We'll see. Let's take a look.
With Kaylee's dad, Stephen, still heartbroken, but said initially when they learned about the arrest, they were the first to learn about it from police late Thursday night that the arrest was going to happen. They felt some relief. They even felt joy to a certain extent. But now the feeling is just being overwhelmed, knowing that the court process is about to begin and that they are going to see the accused killer face to face. Accused Idaho killer Bryan Kohberger could be in Idaho as early as tomorrow night after a hearing in Pennsylvania where Kohberger is expected not to fight his extradition.
There's going to be somebody there looking him in the face and letting him know that this isn't going away anytime soon. This is just the beginning.
Victim Kaylee Gonzalez's father, Steve, says they are looking for connections between Kohberger, Kaylee, and the other victims.
I'm biased, but if you got to know my daughter, I would think it'd be impossible for you to hurt her. So I think a little bit of us all kind of felt like this was somebody who didn't have a chance to.
As beautiful as his dad is, first of all, you can see his demeanor has changed. Before, he was very animated in his interviews, passionate. Right now, it just seems like the wind has been knocked out of this poor father, and he's just very broken. To be able to see this creep who unalived his beautiful daughter and the other three. But I know he wants to think that this man, Bryan, or whoever did it, guys, is human, basically, has empathy. But individuals who commit these crimes they're cold, they're depraved, and they lack any ounce of empathy for human life. Okay. Otherwise, he wouldn't have committed the crime. So I know Kylie's father wants to believe in his heart that Mr. Bryan or whoever did this would not have unalived his daughter if he had known her. Unfortunately, that's not true, guys. It didn't matter how sweet Kaylee was or how lovable she was. This guy could care less. Okay. He could care less that these people were good people. He obviously took a liking or obsession with one or two of these women. And now I'm starting to think, based upon what the inside looking profile has said, based upon somewhat of the possibilities that he may have visited the Greek restaurant where Miss Maddie and Zana worked, it seems as though he had known that these girls were already sweet. I mean, come on, if they're waiting on him, they're nice waitresses, you could already tell that they're sweet girls. So I don't think Bryan, if he did it or whoever did this, could care less how sweet these individuals were. They didn't care because all they desired to do was to carry out this sick, cold, decrepit crime. And the person who did this, if it is Bryan, is a sociopath, probably psychopath type person who lacks any emotional connection to human life. Could care less. So I just wanted to interject in that because I know the father really wants to believe the best, but he doesn't really realize who we're dealing with here. Okay, the guy that we're dealing with. If Bryan turns out to be guilty, again, he's innocent until proven guilty. Innocent until proven guilty. Okay, if he's proven, which I still am on the side of the FBI because, like I said, they wouldn't have made this arrest if they didn't have some solid connections, y'all. And they're going to get a lot more after all these searches that they're doing at Mr. Kohberger's residence, at his office, all of his electronics, all the ping cell phones they have. The guy clearly, based upon the cell phone evidence alone, was following these girls around. So there's the connection there. I mean, even if it's a very limited connection, it's a connection. He was all around their area. Why would you be in Idaho near these girls if you go to school at Washington State University? Quite weird, right? So let's go back to hear what this beautiful father has to say. I just needed to interrupt and say that because I really don't think this father is thinking from a human, a normal human thought process with someone who has empathy, someone who has kindness in their heart. But he doesn't really know what he's dealing with here. Poor father doesn't know.
Meet her, talk to her, get to know her because she was a very likable person and she didn't have a mean bone in her body. So I think there's a little comfort in knowing that this person wasn't somebody she trusted and loved.
Kohberger's public defender tells News Nation in mid-December Bryan's dad drove back with him from Pullman, Washington to Monroe County, Pennsylvania, in the white Hyundai Elantra police have been looking for. His attorney says Kohberger is eager to be exonerated. I'm a reporter. Get off my property. It's private property. Kohberger's family did not answer when I went to their house where he was arrested, but released a statement through the public defender.
Did y'all hear Bryan's dad? He was like, get off my property. It's private property. Ooh, a little bit of aggression in that voice there, buddy. Is that where Bryan gets it from? I don't know. Let's hear that again. Little aggression in the voice.
Exonerated. I'm a reporter.
Get off my property. It's private property.
Kohberger's family did not answer when I went to their house where he was arrested, but released a statement through the public defender saying they're cooperating with law.
Wow, Mr. Dad, there, a little bit of assertion in that tone. I'm just saying. I mean, I know you don't want the reporters at your house and it could be annoying, but still, y'all, he was a little bit aggressive in the tone. I'm just wondering if that where Mr. BRYAN is getting all the aggression that people are saying he has, because a lot of times kids learn from their parents. They look at their parents, they emulate what they see in the household. So it's just a question I have. Again, all this is speculation and opinions, but I'm just saying the dad was a little bit aggressive with that reporter. Let's keep continuing on. I really like this News Nation report. They're going to show us another picture that we haven't seen yet of BRYAN in his class or with his classmates. So let's look at that.
To get his PhD, Kohberger got his master's from DeSales University in Pennsylvania. News Nation has obtained this photo of Kohberger taken during a group project at DeSales University.
So here is a picture of Mr. BRYAN here with his classmates in better days. He looks, you know, look at his demeanor there. Looks a little cocky, a little arrogant right there in the photo. So, but notice the distance between the classmates and him. Kind of that outcast. Look at that. Look how they're all bunched together. And BRYAN is spaced in his own separate, isolated little spot in the picture. He's not, look at that huge gap here. All of them are all close together in the photo, and he is just kind of isolated by himself in his own little spot away from the others. Very telling. Didn't seem like people really wanted to be too close near him. Like even in the photo, it's right here, very telling of the space they have away from him in a picture. So I find that quite interesting, guys. That can, you know, show us somewhat of a corroboration of information that some of the friends, some of the students have said about him, that he kind of was a loner. People didn't really want to be around him because of his hatred towards the LGBTQ community, and that he didn't really seem to be too much friendly. And only time he talked is when he wanted to show his intelligence. So even in the picture, you could see that people had somewhat of a distance towards him. I find that to be quite interesting because body language is very telling in situations. You can just look at certain things like this and you can see some of just the even demeanors of the individuals, even himself, in a photo.
In 2019, students who studied with him tell News Nation they've been told to only talk to police because they could potentially be called as character witnesses in the case. They did say he was, quote, controlling during the group project.
What do you make, Steve, of the fact?
Wow. They said he was controlling during the group project. Doesn't that sound familiar? If you've been studying this case, the individual that was speaking under the profile of Inside Looking in Reddit seemed to be very controlling. He wanted to control the narrative in that group. When people tried to give opinions about the killings, when people tried to give opinions about maybe there was more than one killer, or maybe this, you know, they thought that Kaylee was the prime target or different stuff. Inside Looking profile always wanted to control everything. He always would interject and say, wrong, this is what it is, or don't ever mention SA. Like when people mentioned maybe it was the motive was SA, you know what that is, guys, SEX assaults. When people would say that, he would automatically say, it's not SA, end of story. And then he would say, and then he also said in here, which was disturbing in the group, the person in the Inside Looking profile said that the person who committed the crime was not a SO offender, which is a SEX offender. But the question that we all had was, how did he know that? If nobody knows who the suspect is, then no one would know whether or not he is an SEX offender unless he was the killer himself speaking in that group. But it was quite interesting as we went through that entire profile of all the different comments that the Inside Looker profile had. He always tried to control the group, controlled what everybody else thought, controlled what the facts were, and controlled what discussions people made in the group. And now we're hearing from the students in Mr. BRYAN's group that said that he tried to control the project. So it's like little bits and pieces of information kind of connecting the behaviors of him with these profiles that seems consistent with the way people describe BRYAN. So that's interesting.
That, you know, he was getting his PhD in criminal justice and had his master's in criminology, and sort of had this knowledge of the way the system works.
I feel like he definitely was into this type of thing. He had made a lifetime commitment to, you know, wrapping himself into crime and solving crime and figuring out how people got caught, interviewing people, doing different things that a normal student wouldn't be so interested in. So I think he maybe got a little overconfident and didn't realize that there really is no perfect way to commit a crime.
Okay, so tomorrow Kohberger will be in court in the courthouse behind me here in Monroe County, Pennsylvania. We expect him to waive his extradition hearing, and he could be on his way back to Idaho as early as tomorrow.
Kohberger's connection to a well-known serial killer.
Yeah, this is a crazy connection, Nicole. Basically, Kohberger's professor at DeSales University here in Pennsylvania is the pretty much preeminent expert on the serial killer BTK, interviewed him, had a number of intimate interviews with BTK, the serial killer, over the course of about 10 years, and then wrote the autobiography on BTK for BTK. BTK's daughter is speaking exclusively with us about this connection and even questioning whether Kohberger may have been corresponding with her father in prison. You're going to hear that exclusive interview coming up in about 30 minutes.
Thank you for watching. Go to News Nation.
So, wow, guys, that is quite interesting, but also very sad, guys, to see Kylie's dad, because during the beginning of this investigation, you could see how very animated the dad was. He was very passionate, but now you can just see a broken man whose soul is now gone, and he is just completely just gone. Like, he's so broken down. It's very sad to see that, to see the change in his demeanor in this video. It's like a completely different person from what we've seen, you know, in passing weeks. But let me know what you guys think about all this. The fact that he was stopped, you know, at least 2 times during his drive to Pennsylvania. Do you think that was connected to the investigation anyway, that they were trying to kind of see and assess BRYAN's demeanor? What do you think about BRYAN stopping the question, the interrogation, when they mentioned Idaho 4 killings, that he all of a sudden stops the interrogation? That's quite interesting, right? Behavior. And what do you think about Kaylee's dad now and his demeanor? And also, final question, what do you think about the father's tone when the reporters came to chat with him? Do you think he was a little bit too aggressive? Or do you think he had a right to be aggressive because he wants these people to stop bothering him and harassing his family? Who knows? Jade said it looks like a photo bomb. That picture did kind of look like a photo bomb, though. He looked like he wasn't even supposed to be in the picture, right? They didn't even seem like they wanted to be around him. Let's go back to that picture. Oh my gosh, you guys are right. That does kind of look like a photo bomb, doesn't it? He looks out of place, like he shouldn't even be there. Sorry, that's a little blurry there, guys, but it does look like a photo bomb. It's like he looks out of place, doesn't he? Like he shouldn't even be there. Drancy Jackson said it does, though, like he jumped in at the last minute or something. Doesn't it? But he looks so out of place. They're all kind of huddled over in one little corner, and he's way out of place in the picture. It's very telling. That's what I said. Body language is very loud. It doesn't seem like they want to be affiliated with him, like they really like him. They feel nervous around him. And then he's got that cocky pose, like he just thinks he's the king of the world or he's better than everybody else. Drancy says, it seems like he had full control of the crime scene, or no? You know what, Drancy? I agree with you. He feels like he has full control over everything, even the narrative. So yeah, I think you're onto something, Drancy. Drancy says, I say that because 4 people slain, allegedly 1 suspect, as we know, seems like he was in control to me. Yeah, Drancy, I think you're very logical belief, and I agree with you. I think he thinks he's in control of everything. He controlled the whole crime scene, all that stuff. Victim, in my opinion, again, this is all opinion. I wasn't there. I have to keep saying that, guys, because people don't understand when you're giving an opinion. Sometimes they think I'm trying to give a fact when I don't even know what the facts are yet. These are just allegations. Jade said victims were asleep, so he definitely had the element of surprise. Exactly, Jade. He had that to his advantage, which is like what Drancy says. Sounds like he was in control of the crime scene. Drancy says that's defensive behavior. Yep. Right, like Elizabeth. Hi, Elizabeth. Oh my gosh, I missed you, girl. You've been gone for a while. Look at my Elizabeth is back. I missed her. Okay, anyway, she said like that graduation video. Right, Elizabeth, did you see that cold, decrepit graduation video? We talked about that on another video, girl. It was quite weird. He had this very evil, callous stare when he was picking up his graduation diploma. We're like, the girl before him with that walked before him, she was smiling and happy, and he looked like he just was angered. I'm like, why are you angry after, getting like one of the most honorable experiences is getting a diploma after you've worked many years for this diploma? But he looked like he was absolutely enraged. It was weird. Jessica Mallory says, I've seen other people wanting others off their property, visibly angry. Okay. Yeah, Jessica, you're right. It could possibly just be that he just doesn't like being bothered. So, hey, we be reading too much into stuff. I just thought that tone was a little bit aggressive. I don't know. You don't really have to be that mean about it. You could be nice and say, hey, I don't want to be bothered. I do not want to speak. Thank you. I just thought it was a stark contrast to the tone that they had in their statement. When they had their statement, it seemed very loving. It seemed like they were a very loving family. They were very empathetic to the whole situation. They just seemed had a very lighthearted, loving type tone. But then hearing that more assertive tone was kind of a stark contrast to their family statement. So that's why I was a little bit taken aback. I just didn't expect that, considering how very empathetic their family statement was. But that's just me, y'all. Elizabeth said, we're on a different time schedule, I think. Missed you too, kids girl. Oh, I know. I'll be up late. You know me, girl. I'll be up like, I don't know what your time zone is, but yeah, definitely a different time zone. Right. Kyla says, creepy, girl, isn't it? Are they at an event? They look dressed up, while he's wearing casual clothes. Oh, that is, I don't know what this is. This looks like, I don't know what this was. And maybe it was an event. Let's see. They all look like, let me see what they're, one's wearing a suit. She's wearing a suit. He's got like kind of a business casual look here with his little button up here. I don't know what this was. Maybe it was an event. Who knows? But I just noticed that stark distance between him and the others. They're all hunched up and cuddled up together in the picture. You know how you would take a picture? But they're like, he's all in his own isolated spot away from them. That is huge, telling that it seemed like people didn't really like to be around him. He's also seems to be kind of a loner type personality, antisocial like personality, that people didn't really like to be affiliated with him, y'all. Oh, you're in Pennsylvania? Oh my gosh! Elizabeth's in Pennsylvania, y'all. Girl, I hope you didn't live near Mr. Psycho, Brian. Oh, Lord. Girl, were you scared when you found out he was in your state? Oh, my God. Look at her little eyes she put in the emojis. She said in Pennsylvania, girl. Elizabeth, are you near the suspect, Brian? Oh my God. I bet you were like shocked when you found out he was in your state. You're probably like, oh my God, he's in Pennsylvania. It could have been me. Girl, you better move. I'm just kidding. It could be happening anywhere. I'm just kidding. He's locked up anyway. Anyway, Drancy Jackson says, for real, he dressed like he just threw anything on, and his hair is not freshly cut at all. Maybe he didn't have much style to him, you know? Who knows? He killed them while they were helpless in their sleep. I know, that's sad. Allegedly, if he did it. Again, we have to always say allegedly. Just like Shanquella was waken out of her sleep. Just my opinion. I know, this is sad, guys. Isn't it, man? Yeah, Private Eye. I agree with you that Shanquella, her tragedy, she was woken out of her sleep. You could tell that her bed was not even made up. It looked like she had jumped out of bed. It looked like, because you know how you like swing your sheets up? It looked like she had swinged her sheets up and kind of got out of the bed. Kyla's over there. Kyla, y'all a mess. She said, look at him laughing emojis. She said, is that photoshopped? I don't think so, but it does look like it could be because of the fact that where he's positioned, right? But I think it's a regular photo, but because he's so distanced away from them, it looks quite odd, which explains his odd kind of demeanor around people. People didn't really like to associate with this guy. I don't think they really liked him. I mean, his own fellow classmates had a lot of bad things to say about him and his previous friends. So, I mean, the only one person that I heard of, and you guys let me know if I missed something, because y'all know I be studying things all the time. But the only nice thing I've heard about him was from Cassie, who said he was nice to her. But besides her, other people who've come out and spoke have said negative things. So it doesn't seem like a lot of people liked him, y'all. He don't seem like. Right, Elizabeth says Elizabeth says far away from him. I thought it was crazy though, huh? Okay, girl. You lucky, because if I found out that sick psycho was in my state, I wouldn't know what to do. I'd be like, oh Lord, I'm putting crowbars. Well, you still should be careful. It doesn't matter where you live. There's going to be killers in all the states. You never know. We always find these random serial killers in different states, so you never know. But still, my Elizabeth, don't be messing with my Elizabeth. Elizabeth, lock your doors, girl. I'm just saying. No. Anyways, guys, have a good day. If I find any more new information, which I know I will, I'll be back on again later on today. Y'all know how I am. Or tomorrow. I love you guys. Thank you for being in the chat, all my beautiful people. And I'm so happy to see my lovely Elizabeth Gregory and Kyla and Drancy and Private Eye. All y'all. Love y'all. Happy New Year.